Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If you would please stand to your feet if you're able and welcome our graduates today. As you are standing, if you would remain standing, gentlemen, if you would please remove your ball caps as we recite together the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God. Thank you. You may be seated.
Welcome to ATDM.
Good morning. Once again, welcome to Danville, Virginia. Welcome to the campus of the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research. My name is Telly Tucker. I have the privilege and honor of serving as the president here at the Institute. And what a beautiful sight it is to see this room almost completely filled with friends, family, and certainly our 80 plus graduates today. It's a tremendous accomplishment, a lot of hard work. I don't have to tell each of you who've been doing the hard work for the last 16 weeks, but certainly for those who are here joining us as guests today, it's an incredible amount of rigorous effort that has gone into getting these students and these completers to this point today. But today is just the beginning. The next step for you is the beginning of a new career, a new life, one that will ultimately change your life and perhaps your children and grandchildren's future. The career opportunity that you will be embarking on not only will benefit you and your families, but it will also benefit this country, this nation, our war fighters that are on the front line, and ultimately this world that we live in. So I want to thank you for the commitment and the decision that you made to come here and for the hard work and effort that you put into completing this program. We at the Institute believe that we have a mission centered around economic transformation. And the history of that is because this region went through a really rough time where many of our manufacturers left. We had large numbers of unemployed people that needed to be reskilled and retrained. And so we invested some $80 million of local, state, and tobacco dollars, regional foundation dollars into building a pipeline that starts in middle schools and puts AR, VR welding in the hands of 11, 12, and 13-year-olds, and that continues in high schools and in community colleges and right here on this campus. And that investment garnered the attention of our partners at the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Department of War ICAM IBAS office, and collectively decided to birth the ATDM program right here in Danville, Virginia. So the facility that all of you have seen on the Hill and that our students have trained in for the last 16 months really is a culmination of lots of investment, hard work, and a vision to change the way we educate, we train skilled trades in this country. It's a national model, a prototype, and you, my friends, that are completing today are the product of that vision and your hard work, of course. So we thank you for allowing IALR to be part of your journey. You are forever alumni and family of the IALR community. We want to wish you the best in your future, wherever that may take you. I talk about partners, and we certainly couldn't do this with many of our partners, some of who are here today and will be recognized. Certainly this campus, this technology park that is owned by the city of Danville and Pennsylvania County. If we have any elected officials locally here today, please raise your hand or say hello. We do thank you for being here, sir, and thank you for your ongoing commitment. It's my pleasure now to introduce the Executive Vice President of Manufacturing Advancement here on our campus, Mr. Jason Wells.
Thank you, President Tucker. Good morning. What a great day. As President Tucker indicated, my name is Jason Wells. My role here is Executive Vice President of Manufacturing Advancement. It's one of 5 divisions that we have here on campus. It is the division that has the honor to be responsible to this tremendous program known as the Accelerated Training in Defense Manufacturing. So, great day to celebrate. Congratulations on earning your place as a skilled tradesperson. As a skilled tradesperson, we literally shape the physical world that everybody in this room relies upon. In an increasingly digital world, you are the people that hold the physical world together. You build it, you repair it, you maintain it, you improve it, and it comes with a tremendous amount of responsibility that rarely receives the recognition it deserves. Every orientation, I find myself wondering what brought these folks to our campus. I wonder because I too am a proud, skilled tradesperson. I am a journeyman toolmaker. Now, I will admit to being a little bit jealous because my path was exponentially longer and nowhere near the quality or opportunity that these folks had. But nonetheless, we all arrived here as skilled tradespeople. And I often wonder how many of your journeys started like mine. Because I can tell you this, the little boy version of me did not grow up dreaming to be a toolmaker. Truthfully, when I signed up to be a toolmaker, I didn't know what the heck it was. I didn't understand what it was. I only knew that there was a demand for it. I knew that it paid decent money, and I knew I had a family I had to support. So if I'm being really brutally honest with you, my career path really started out with a little feeling of disappointment, like I was settling. Growing up, I'm sure you heard some of the same things that I heard. You probably heard, follow your passion and you'll never have to work a day in your life. But now, nearly 35 years later of being in this industry, I've learned something far more important. There's something stronger than passion, and that is purpose. Because passion can fade on difficult days. Passion can disappear when the work gets hard, repetitive, exhaustive, and stressful. But purpose will carry you through every one of those moments. And the amazing thing is this, when you find true purpose in what you do, passion eventually reveals itself hidden inside that purpose. It may not look exactly the way you imagined it or you dreamt about it as a child, but the two eventually do intersect. In 1943, during World War II, the United States faced a problem that could have changed the course of the war. American cargo ships called Liberty ships were being built at record speed to carry troops, fuel, ammunition, and equipment across the Atlantic. But there was one devastating problem. Some of those ships were literally cracking apart on their journey across the ocean. The issue wasn't strategy, it wasn't leadership, it wasn't a lack of vision. It came down to craftsmanship. The quality of the weld determined whether supplies reached soldiers overseas or whether the ship and its crew got lost at sea. So, welders, machinists, inspectors, and fabricators stepped forward. Through skill, discipline, and precision, they solved the problem and helped power one of the greatest industrial efforts in history. The story matters because it reminds us that the skilled trades are not simply jobs. They are the foundation of modern life. Behind every aircraft, every hospital, every bridge, every manufacturing plant, every power grid, and every act of national strength, there's a skilled tradesperson who made it possible. Most people will never know their names, and society depends on their work every single day. And that means something. We do not have the luxury in our industry, in our skills, in our chosen profession for just good enough. Lives depend on what we do, families depend on what we do, industries and communities depend on what we do. I often get teased here on campus of being the manufacturing historian. And honestly, I wear that title proudly because it came from a very specific realization along my career path. In 1991, early on in my career, there was a plane that crashed, and that crash triggered an FAA inspection that went all the way back down into the supply chain. I was a tool maker, and I was a young guy, naive, trying to wonder why would they come all the way down to our level? That just seems like crazy this far back into the supply chain. Fortunately, at that point in my career, I had an early mentor that gave me a wake-up call that I have never forgotten. He sat me down and he explained to me every person, every company, every machinist, every inspector, every technician involved in building or maintaining that aircraft carried a responsibility for the lives that were on board. That moment changed me. It made me realize the skilled trades are not about parts, they're not about machines, they're not about metal, they're about people. That realization sparked a lifelong passion in me to understand the impact skilled trades have not only on individual lives, but on our entire way of life. And here's the funny part to finish off my story. As I told you earlier, the 8-year-old version of me didn't dream of becoming a tool maker. After learning about Thomas Edison in school, I had this dream of being an inventor. I wanted to be an inventor, and I probably drove my parents crazy trying to put all kinds of different contraptions together, taking things apart and trying to figure out how to make them better. And then I was early on, or very much mature into my career, and something incredible happened. On December 11th, 2017, nearly 40 years after I birthed that dream of being an inventor, my first patent was issued, and I was identified as an inventor. What I once believed was settling for a career had actually become a pathway to the very thing I dreamed about all along. That is the power of purpose. So as you leave here today, remember this: there's dignity in what you are about to do. There is responsibility in what you are about to do. There is purpose in what you are about to do. Do it well. Keep pushing yourself to do it better. Never doubt your value. Never underestimate your impact. Because the world you are walking into desperately needs people who can build, repair, create, solve problems, and carry responsibility with pride. And if you do that long enough, with enough care and enough commitment, you may one day discover that your passion was waiting for you inside your purpose all along. So now it's your turn. It's your time to go make a difference. Thank you. So, besides the honor of being able to share a little bit of my story with you, I also get the opportunity to introduce to you our other speakers. And I'm very honored to introduce to you today our keynote speaker, Ken Ham. Mr. Ham is has more than 37 years of aerospace and defense experience, spanning military operations, advanced weapons systems, aircraft and engine manufacturing, and executive quality leadership. Ken has built a career defined by precision, accountability, and mission excellence. In his current role, he sets quality policy, establishes robust systems, and ensures compliance with the most stringent turbine engine specifications. Prior to Howmet, he held executive quality positions in military landing system manufacturing, commercial aircraft seating, and composite materials production. Ken is a retired U.S. Air Force veteran, retiring in 2011 after commanding aircraft and engine sustainment units. While serving, he was the U.S. Air Force Chief of Propulsion Systems at the Pentagon, leading special weapons development, directing F-22 manufacturing recovery, and commanding an expeditionary group during deployments to Iraq between 2006 and 2007. In addition to his distinguished military career, Ken holds a bachelor's degree in design engineering and master's degrees in aerospace sciences, organizational behavior, and military history. Fellow history buff, awesome. He is also a distinguished graduate of the U.S. Air Force's Air University, Air Command and Staff College. He continues to prove a lifelong commitment to learning for sure. Ken brings a rare combination of operational leadership, technical expertise, and lifelong commitment to excellence, and we are honored to have him here to share his insights with you, the next generation of skilled tradespeople. Please join me in welcoming Ken Ham, Vice President of Quality for Engine Systems Business Unit at Howmet Aerospace.
Okay, we're done. It's difficult sometimes for your history to actually be articulated by another individual and you to recognize that, yeah, it has been a long time. Age tends to catch up with us. But it's a pleasure to be here with you today. What a fantastic audience. It's great to see this whole entire auditorium full with support on behalf of the graduates today. So thank you all for being here and supporting the graduates. And graduates, well done. Let me start off by saying I appreciate the kind words that Jason shared. Thank you. So let's take a minute and recognize some of the important people in this room, though. Graduations happen because of a great supporting team. First, I want to recognize the leadership and the faculty of the Accelerated Training in Defense Manufacturing, or the ATDM program. President Tucker, who heads the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research, which ATDM program is a key division. Thank you very much for building such a well-organized, high reputation institution. So thank you very much, President Tucker. And I would also like to recognize our speaker, Jason. I should sit down. That was a fantastic note. Fantastic. Jason Wells is the Executive Vice President for Manufacturing Advancement and the leader of the ATDM program. He brings a wealth of knowledge and firsthand applied experience to this institution. Thank you. But let's not forget the team, the instructors, the administrators, and the program staff who built this curriculum and held the students to a high standard and refused to let them settle for less than their best. So to the staff and the team and the faculty, thank you. I also want to recognize the community leaders, the participation, the partnership that goes into this program is phenomenal. We had a chance to meet yesterday with some of the community leaders, and the engagement between the Institute, the program of ATDM, and the local community is absolutely a high water mark. Thank you so much for your participation in this program. I also want to thank the industry and employer partners represented here today, the organizations that invested in this program, committed to the graduates, and understood that building the defense industrial workforce is not someone else's responsibility, it's ours. Thank you for stepping up to lead when it counted most. So to our industry and employer partners, thank you. To family members, spouses, partners, let's get down to the real support, right? And our close friends in this room. People who covered shifts at home, watched kids, helped hold things together during hard days, and maybe believed in someone who is sitting in one of the graduate seats who that individual themselves didn't necessarily believe that they could do this. Those are the people who are behind you, supporting you, who have helped you get to this milestone. This graduation day belongs to them as much as it does to you. So thank you. Thank you, families. So I'm going to take a little bit of a deviation here, and I want to thank a special group of people. If you have ever served or are currently serving in any branch of the United States Armed Forces, I'd ask that you stand right now. Please stand. Thank you. What you graduates are about to do, you're following, and I get emotional, and I'll admit that. You're following in the tradition, in the legacy of what made this country great and still does today. Thank you to all of our veterans. In that note, I want you to look around the room, and I want you to make an observation. We're all wearing something today that signals to the world who we are and where we belong. Some of you are in graduation attire. Some of the people in these seats are in clothes that they came to this meeting today from a shift. The faces in this room wear a multitude of different uniforms. I want to talk about uniforms for a minute. I have worn a few myself. The first time I ever put on a uniform was in 1982. It was a U.S. Air Force uniform. Now that dates me a little bit. And I was so proud to put that uniform on for the first time. I've worn a flight suit. I've worn dress blues. I've worn battle uniforms. I've worn the uniform of a United States Air Force officer for over 2 decades through a myriad of assignments. Today, I wear the suit of an aerospace executive. Interestingly enough, my family, my history, my legacy, they all wore the uniform of Navy seamen. Now, there's a story there, but not for today. Every uniform I have ever put on did the same thing. It declared that I belonged to something larger than myself. It told the world I had agreed to a standard. It meant that what I did and what I failed to do reflected on everyone else who wore the same uniform alongside me. Today, you are putting on a new uniform. And I'm not talking about the polo shirts that you handsomely are wearing today. I'm talking about a little bit different kind of a uniform. That uniform may not be made of cloth. It may not have insignia or rank on it. But from this moment forward, you carry the name of this program that you graduated from today. And that is the uniform that's going to carry with you out onto the shop floor, into industry. And it's going to represent the mission that you stand for. That's not a metaphor, it's a fact. Now, look, before I get into what you've accomplished today, let's talk about a couple of things. I want to ask something of you. And I want you to actually think about this, put some great thought into it. What is your standard, graduates? What is your standard? Not the program standard, not Howmet Aerospace's standard, not the Navy's standard, not the Air Force's standard, yours. What is your standard? What is the line that you will not cross? What is the bar below which your name will never appear? What will you defend? Not because someone is watching, but because you've decided it matters. The question is going to follow you out of this room. And like I said, it will follow you into the shop, into those moments when cutting a corner would be easy and no one would ever know the difference. We'll come back to that thought in just a minute. Hold on to it. So let me tell you what you've actually accomplished today, because I want you to understand the scale of this accomplishment. President Tucker and Jason have both identified and alluded to that. I want to articulate it a little bit more. You entered a program designed to compress years of industrial learning into weeks. You were asked to absorb technical knowledge, apply it under pressure, and to demonstrate competency in an industry that does not grade on a curve. Neither submarines nor F-35s grade on a curve. And in fact, the tolerances are as real as your families flying in an airliner to safely arrive here to celebrate today your graduation with you. The stakes are real. You showed up, you did the hard work. You earned this, and that is not a small thing. That scale is large. The defense industrial base in this country has a shortage problem. Skilled, trained, and certified hands are harder to find than the programs that need them. You just became part of that solution to the problem. The fact that you are standing or sitting in this room today matters beyond your own career. It matters to the supply chain. It matters to the mission of the United States. You may not feel the weight of that yet, but you will. The work you have been trained to do lives inside a set of disciplines. I'd like to take a moment and highlight what those disciplines are. Represented here in the seats are 4 different disciplines of graduates: non-destructive testing, additive manufacturing, CNC machining, and welding. All comprise those that have graduated or are graduating today. These are not job descriptions. These are crafts. Each one represents a body of knowledge built over decades, bought in some cases at a very high cost, and entrusted now to people willing to learn and apply it. Thank you. The NDT graduates in this room will develop the eyes and instruments to see what cannot be seen. An invisible flaw in a critical component, a crack, a void, a discontinuity measured in thousands. The difference between a system that performs and a system that fails. You are the last line of defense before that part goes into service. NDT people, raise your hand. Fantastic. The additive manufacturing graduate, raise your hands, guys. Fantastic, right up front. Make that tie. He made the tie. I looked at that as soon as you guys walked in, I thought, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. A little bit too much time on your hands, but that's fantastic. You guys get a chance to come see it later on. You'll know what I'm talking about. Fantastic. Additive manufacturing. You will work in the frontier of how industry is forming parts, components, and how you're realizing complex geometries. Building geometries that could not exist in any other way with precision that could not exist just a sheer 20 years prior. CNC graduates, raise your hands. All right. You will be operating machines that hold tolerance measurements in microns, producing parts that must be right the first time, every time. And I'm going to take a sidestep. I was in my undergraduate work, and it was absolutely thrilling the day that I got this 5-axis milling machine to actually follow the tool paths that I had programmed into it. It was the coolest thing in the world. So I have a little geek in me as well, okay? It was fantastic. Welders, raise your hand. I don't know that I would qualify as a journeyman, but I have a bit of an apprenticeship with welding as well. My hands have been burned once or twice. To you, I applaud. You join metal to metal in ways that must hold under intense pressures, temperatures that most people never experience and cannot imagine, and frequently in austere environments. Well done. These are not interchangeable skills. They are specific, earned, and irreplaceable. The work you've been trained to do lives inside of a standard that someone built and refused to compromise on. I hope that you take this next message with you. In 1949, a Navy admiral, I got to stop for a minute. I'm an Air Force guy and I'm referring to Navy folks. I mean, how good is that? The ATDM program has indoctrinated me already, right? I'll pull up an Air Force story here in a minute. In 1949, Admiral by the name of Hyman Rickover. Anybody hear of him before? Once or twice? Maybe referred to as the father of the modern nuclear navy. Okay? He was given the job of developing the nuclear propulsion systems for the fleet. The Navy bureaucracy fought him. Contractors fought him. Congress pushed back on him. His own chain of command tried repeatedly to force him out. That sounds familiar. He held the standard anyway. He personally interviewed every officer assigned to a nuclear vessel. He refused waivers when contractors' equipment was close enough. He insisted on weld joints where the industry wanted brazed ones. Because in a nuclear reactor, close enough is not good enough. His result, it's an impressive result. The U.S. Navy operated over 100 nuclear reactors for decades without a single radiation incident, not one. By comparison, the Soviet Navy, during the course of the same period of time, working under different standards, had 14 known reactor accidents. Same physics, different standard. So what's your standard? Rickover's answer when anyone suggested his bar was too high was 4 words. Why not the best? That question belongs to you now. You are now those people. You bring knowledge, skill, and the future to the defense industrial base. I want to be direct with you. What this work is connected to is real and it's timely. What you make goes somewhere. It goes into submarines operating beneath the surface of the world's oceans right now, crewed by people whose families are waiting for them to come home. It goes into jet engines, powering aircraft flown by men and women who need every component to perform flawlessly at altitude, under stress, in conditions that leave no margin for error. It goes into the ships, vehicles, and systems that keep our country's defense capability real, not theoretical. I have stood on flight lines. I have launched aircraft on missions I cannot describe in rooms like this one, but I can tell you with certainty the people climbing into those cockpits are not thinking about the supply chain. They are trusting it. They are trusting you to have done your job correctly so they can do theirs. That trust is not abstract, it is specific, it is daily, and it's yours to honor. One decision at a time, at a workstation, on an ordinary Tuesday. They don't know your name, but your work will speak for you. Remember the question I asked at the beginning, what is your standard? Let me offer this maybe as one that you can reference. In November of 1967, an Air Force F-4 pilot named Lance Saigon was shot down over Vietnam. He ejected with a fractured skull, shattered hand, and a compound fracture in his leg. He evaded capture in the jungle for 46 days. He crawled, he hid, and survived off of nothing. When a rescue helicopter finally connected with him, he waved it off to avoid compromising the lives of the rescue team. He was eventually captured, taken to the Hanoi Hilton, and tortured repeatedly. He only offered his name, his rank, and a service number. He died in captivity on the 22nd of January of 1968. He was 25 years old. Nobody was watching. Nobody would have known if he had broken. Men torturing him certainly weren't going to report his resistance. There was no audience for what he did. He held his standard anyway. And that is what his standard actually is. Not what you do when you're being seen or watched, but what you do when no one else is watching. There's a flag outside this building and one that stands here in our auditorium with us. And just like many buildings across the nation, that flag is there nearly every day. On most days, nearly all people walk past it without a thought. In some ways, it's part of the landscape, almost invisible. But the flag is not a decoration. It is a statement renewed every single day by choices of people willing to live up to what it represents. The freedom that flag represents was not given, it was built. It was defended. It was paid for in full. In places whose names most Americans cannot find on a map, by people who decided that the standard mattered more than the cost. And every time this country produces people willing to make that choice in a classroom, in a program like ATDM, in a defense industrial base that desperately needs skilled hands and serious people, the flag outside means something it wouldn't have without you. You are part of what keeps it flying. That is your standard. One last question. Think for just a moment about one person: a sailor beneath the ocean, a pilot at altitude, a soldier in the field. Someone you will never meet, whose name you will never know, whose life may one day depend on work that you have touched. If you are willing right now in this room, commit to daily excellence for that one person that you will never meet, and carry that forward into the careers that you're about to launch onto. That is your standard. 3 short parting thoughts. Own your standard. No one is going to follow you around and make you care. They won't. The standard lives inside you, where it does not live anywhere. Own it. Protect it. Don't let production pressures, long shift, sometimes talk you out of your standard. Don't let that happen. The moment you compromise the standard is the moment your uniform stops meaning what it should. Keep learning. Number 2. This graduation is a starting line, not a finish line. The best people in this industrial base, the people that sit here on the stage with me, the best people in this industrial base, the ones whose careers have been built around strong reputations that are worth protecting, never stop getting better. Find the most experienced person in the room and learn everything they'll teach you. Then be the person others want to learn from. Number 3, and remember what it's for. On the days when the work on the days the work feels routine, when the shift is long and the specs blur together, remember that what you are making is going somewhere. It may go to sea, it may go to altitude. There are people whose lives depend on the decision that you made on an ordinary Tuesday. They don't know your name, but your work will speak for you. Make it say something worth hearing. Congratulations, graduates. You've earned a uniform, and this is it. Thank you so much for your willingness to come to this program and step out into our industry and build the future. So with that, welcome to the mission. Now go do great things.
Thank you, sir. That was fantastic. Today, we also have the honor of recognizing someone whose journey reflects service, resilience, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to excellence, but also is a part of this graduating class. Margarita Emanuele is a United States Navy veteran whose career has been defined by discipline, service, and a commitment to operational excellence. During her military service, she developed a strong foundation in structured, high accountability environments where precision and mission readiness were critical. Following service in the Navy, she continued her service in federal law enforcement and security roles, specializing in physical security operations, compliance tracking, and risk management. Throughout her career, she has supported complex operational environments, contributed to policy development, and ensured adherence to regulatory standards across multiple organizations. In parallel with her operational work, Margarita has built a strong background in technical writing and program development. She has developed standard operating procedures, training materials, and compliance documentation, helping translate policy into clear, actionable practice. Her work has consistently focused on strengthening systems, improving accountability, and supporting organizational performance. As her professional path evolved, Margarita developed a strong interest in inspection, quality assurance, and infrastructure integrity. That focus led her to the ATDM program, where she has trained in non-destructive testing, otherwise known as NDT, applying her background in precision, compliance, and analysis to a highly technical and critical field. Please welcome Margarita to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. I would first like to start out with my sea story. Only any of you guys know about that. It's a story that gets better the more times it gets told. But I promise this is a little bit more interesting. How I got here started about 3 years ago as I was navigating a series of carefully assembled life and career events, all perfectly daisy chained by the universe to shake me out of a rut. I had grown comfortable in it and resisted the change. I watched as my career choices narrowed, faced another layoff recently, and decided to pivot and pursue something else. For most of my life, I have gone through many transitions, and none of them were ever gentle. In that time, I dealt with the loss of career, home, finances, the sudden loss of a friend, just to name a few. The things that worked before became null and void, and what was left was just me. I had to figure out what I would want to be when I grew up again. For many years, I was one with my profession, but when it ended, I felt like I had no purpose, and I had to fix that. Last summer, I noticed that every time I went online, I scrolled for content or apply for a job, this enticing ad would show up. After ignoring it for weeks, I finally decided to see what it was all about. Build submarines. I thought it would be a good vehicle for my contracting pursuits. The enticing video took me down a rabbit hole leading to something named ATDM. I thought right away it was a mirage, a scholarship. They offered housing and full immersion for 16 weeks, and all I had to do was study. The prospect of dedicating my time and attention to one thing was appealing to me. I submitted the application, hoping it wasn't the Navy trying to trick me back in. How I got here met with some obstacles at first that I had to mitigate, but I fought hard to make it happen. I was invited to join the October 2025 cohort, but the time wasn't right, and I chose to start in the new year. Whether that was by design, I don't know, but I wanted to trust that I was in the right decision. Initially, I applied for the welding program, but something nagged at me. Was this the right program for me? So I turned to a friend for advice, long retired from the industry. On a hunch, I turned to him and was long being retired, and I asked him to social media one night to help me figure out which of the ATDM career tracks he would recommend. I did not reveal the reason or the status of my application. I just asked which program would be best for me. He described in detail the virtues of the NDT field above all. I had little doubt that I could trust his advice. To my classmates, this story isn't really all about me, since there were 18 of us in this room today. Surely all of you went through some process yourselves before coming here. Some of you are just now starting out in life and came of age while in training. We all faced some hard decisions at some point, which brought us together, and we learned to work as a unit. All I can say is, I'm glad and blessed to have met and gotten to work with you all these months. I will miss our sideline discussions about technique or procedure, sharing best practices with others, and cheering everyone on in their individual efforts. I will not be standing here today without you, and I want to recognize your accomplishment in completing this program, as I have, for our being here as a group was part of something greater. For those of you who came here from industry to expand your skills, I hope this sets you up for greater success at your jobs. And for those of you starting out, what a way to start a new life. For those of you starting this year, you may not appreciate it right now, but someday you will see the value of what you just accomplished. Prepare for both good and bad case scenarios, for when one day you're riding high on that positive spike, and when it drops, you're already conditioned to handle it. When you're successful, don't get comfortable. Work consistently rather than harder. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones. I'm going to miss going to church on Saturdays, and also the farmers market in Danville. And I felt very welcome. That always, and going out in the community to volunteer, that always made me feel better when I was feeling stressed. When I addressed our instructors, I want to express my deepest gratitude for your candor, your selfless sharing of experiences and industry insights, and for having the patience to get us on the same page. You spoke frequently about improving ourselves every day, and maybe 1% is a bit challenging to achieve, but here you have set us up for long-term improvement moving forward. I'd say we're well on our way to achieving self-mastery, which should come before anything else. For me, entering this field of work promises I will never be bored. There will always be new things to learn, and there is the demand for what we do. I couldn't have asked for more. You taught us on how to prove efficacy of our methods. I now want to pay tribute to your method. As I stand here before you and our classmates, we are indeed the living proof of your method and evidence of your success. As for me, I have officially accepted a position as an X-ray technician with Helmet Aerospace in Hampton, Virginia. You told us many times to trust the process, and we have. I'd like to close with one of Mr. Carter's most impactful statements to me, in particular. Don't think, just do. Thank you all, and God bless.
All right, so now the moment you've all been waiting for. Before we introduce the graduates, I do want to bring to your attention something. If you open your programs, if you take a moment and look at your graduation program, you'll notice that some students have a 1, 2, or 3 beside their names. These numbers represent students who earned a bronze, silver, or gold star designation in their training area. So as Mr. Ham talked about standards, it's quite appropriate. This recognition is awarded to students who went above and beyond standard program requirements by completing advanced technical projects, maintaining exceptional academic performance, demonstrating professionalism and safety, and upholding strong attendance and conduct standards. This program is not just about transferring hard skills. It's an equal amount of the hard skills and the work readiness skills. Students begin at the bronze level and may advance to silver and gold through continued excellence and instructor approval. These projects required significant dedication, discipline, and many additional hours outside the classroom. To honor their achievement, STAR designation graduates will not only be recognized, but will also receive a bronze, silver, or gold medallion manufactured and produced in the ATDM facility as they cross the stage today. So make sure that you recognize through the program those that took the extra effort to earn these recognitions.
Good morning again to everyone, and welcome again to the ATDM Accelerated Training in Defense Manufacturing Graduation Ceremony. Today, as you've heard, we gather to celebrate the hard work, dedication, and accomplishments of our graduates. Each student recognized has demonstrated perseverance, technical skill, and a commitment to excellence while preparing for careers that will strengthen the submarine and defense manufacturing workforce. Our graduates represent several specialized training pathways within the ATDM program, including, as you've heard, additive manufacturing, CNC machining, non-destructive testing, and welding. Throughout their training, they have developed hands-on experience, industry knowledge, and the professional skills necessary to succeed in high-demand careers. Before we begin calling names, I would like to introduce the instructors and technicians who worked countless hours to help these students get to this point. Faculty, as I call your names, please stand to be recognized. Additive Manufacturing, first shift, Instructor Daniel Heiler. Additive Manufacturing First Shift Technician, Corey White. Additive Manufacturing Second Shift Instructor, Tim Holland. Additive Manufacturing Technician Second Shift, Gavin Parrish. For our CNC program, CNC machining program, instructor in his absence, Mr. Jim Hook, First Shift Instructor, who also took on the role of instructor for CNC First Shift, Jason Boyd. Technician who I see is not here for CNC First Shift, Mr. Dwight Scott. CNC Machining Second Shift Instructor, Bobby Moran. CNC Machining Technician Second Shift, Zachary Hangelia. Third Shift CNC Machining Instructor, Christopher Chandler. Now non-destructive testing. Non-destructive testing instructor, First Shift, Philip Bowers. Non-destructive testing instructor, First Shift, Christopher Carter. Now our final program, welding. First Shift welding instructor, Daryl Buchanan. In her absence, I don't see First Shift welding technician, Autumn King. And our First Shift welding fabrication instructor, Hector Garcia. Second Shift welding instructor, Michaela Baker. Second Shift welding technician, Jonathan Grubb. And Second Shift welding fabrication instructor, Matthew Walker. And last, Third Shift welding instructor, Colby King. Third Shift welding technician, Tanner Cole. And Third Shift fabrication welding instructor, Kennedy King. At this time, students, please stand to be escorted by Laura Brown. Without further ado, the part that everybody's been waiting for, we'll begin to call the names of our graduates. Will Daniel Heiler, First Shift additive manufacturing instructor, and Corey White, technician, please come to the stage? Audience, please make sure that you give a round of applause as our graduates' names are called. This is a huge occasion for many of them, and we want to make sure that we celebrate them. Our first graduate, Charles Adams. Brandon Buckner. Connor Charlton. Sean Coggins. Silver Star recipient in their absence, who's been reported to their job, Jake Dore. Matthew Hungerford. Wesley Rabins. And Sean Reed. Next up is our second shift additive manufacturing, led by Timothy Holland and Gavin Parrish. Silver Star recipient, Ryan Baber. Bronze Star recipient, Vincent Hegarty. Thomas Martin. Bronze Star recipient, William Martin. Tyler Mazzotta. Bronze Star recipient, Josiah Newell. Bronze Star recipient, Theodore Trumbley. Brian Urbanzik. Arturo Villegas. Next is our CNC machining program led by Jason Boyd. Bronze Star recipient, Logan Audrain. Gold Star recipient, Kai Hauser. Silver Star recipient, Benjamin Krantz. Silver Star recipient, Victor Menchaca. Bronze Star recipient, Michelangelo Montero. Gold Star recipient, Brandon Raymond. Gold Star recipient, Sabian Stone. Bronze Star recipient, Jonathan Stringer. Next, CNC machining second shift led by Bobby Moran and Zachary Hangelia. Yuji Abe. Gold Star recipient, Ibrahim Ahmadi. Gold Star recipient, Joseph DiMatteo. Bronze Star recipient, William Estes. Carlos Frias. Silver Star recipient, Simon Henderson. Bronze Star recipient, Matthew Jenkins. Gold Star recipient, Julio Olage. Bronze Star recipient, Colton Owens. Bronze Star recipient, Luke Reynoso Blankenship. Bronze Star recipient, Scarlett Witt. Apollinaire Zakbo. Next, CNC machining third shift, led by instructor Christopher Chandler. Alec Benjamin. Bronze Star recipient, Lewis Braxton. Bronze Star recipient, Zachary Chambers. Bronze Star recipient, James Clemente. Gold Star recipient, Maxim Gorohoff. Cameron Walker. Next to the stage, non-destructive testing led by Chris Carter and Philip Bauer. Adam Ammett. Brandy Boyer. James Brown. Bronze Star recipient, Jonathan Dean. Caleb Edwards. Margarita Emanuele. Evan Faircloth. Kiernan Green. Aaron Ham. Austin Hunter. Jason Miller. Landon Oriano. Silver Star recipient Christopher Otterson. Bronze Star recipient William Sensnick. Fabian Solorio Tapia. Javion Stansberry. Silver Star recipient John Tester. Nicholas Zolbrak. Next up, welding first shift led by Daryl Buchanan. And his technician, Autumn King, is not here. Mohammed Ahmadi. Peyton Benfatti. Gabriel Brady. Bronze Star recipient Zachary Cannon. John Connors. Seth Geiger. Riley Heingardner. Zachary Jones. Justin Myers. Bronze Star recipient Javier Torres. Next up, welding second shift led by Michaela Baker and Jonathan Grubb. Bronze Star recipient Sean Brady. Bronze Star recipient Andrew Calhoun V. Silver Star recipient Tristan Jedry. Bronze Star recipient Melanie Luna Barrientos. Bronze Star recipient Deshaun Newman. Philip Rolls. Jalen Whetstone. Leanne Weinbrenner. And last but certainly not least, welding third shift led by instructor Colby King and technician Tanner Cole. Charles Abel. Ethan Bond. Manasha Bosha. Terrence Davis. Dominic Dworak. Bradley Gaddy. Cole Peterson. Zeke Sawyer. Andrew White. Let's give another round of applause for all of our graduates today. Next, we'll have final remarks from our president, Mr. Telly Tucker.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. Once again, congratulations to all of our graduates today. Also, I want to take a moment to allow our graduates to turn and say thank you to the friends and family that have come to support them and have supported them over the last 4 months. So graduates, if you would turn around and give our guests a round of applause today for being here. A friend and former colleague used to always say, he's a retired Marine, he would always say, your proximity to the fight does not equate to your importance to the fight. And truly, I say to each one of you, the skills that you have obtained, the work that you will do going forward might not only save your life, but it could be someone that you don't know. It could be a child. It could be a grandchild one day. And so, not to place any added pressure to you, but just to know that the skills that you've learned and obtained here will serve not only you, but will serve others in the future. On behalf of the Board of Trustees here at the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research, I now declare that you are graduates of the Accelerated Training and Defense Manufacturing Program. Before we adjourn, graduates, if you could please come to the front of the stage as soon as we adjourn for a group photo. Family members, after we take the group photo, you'll have an opportunity to take photos with the graduates as well. And also, we will have some light refreshments outside. So at this time, this concludes the program. Consider yourself adjourned.